China on Thursday directly contradicted President Donald Trump's claims that Beijing and Washington are actively discussing resolutions to a trade war that threatens to upend the global economy. While Trump said Wednesday that the world's two largest economies are actively talking, a Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson responded that China and the U.S. have not engaged in any consultations or negotiations regarding tariffs, let alone reached. The spokesperson, Guo Jiakun, made the comments at a briefing in Beijing, saying that reports of ongoing talks were false. He added that while China is open to negotiations, if it's a fight, we will fight to at 145%. Trump's tariffs are higher on China than any other country. As he ratcheted up tariffs on Chinese goods in recent weeks, citing unfair trade practices, Beijing has responded in kind, bringing its total tariff on U.S. goods to 125%, levels that amount to a mutual. The prospect has raised fears of a global recession, ending markets whipsawing as trade tensions have done the same. Relations briefly appeared to improve Wednesday after the Trump administration signaled that it was discussing reducing tariffs with. Still, Trump and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent gave conflicting accounts of the state of negotiations Wednesday, with Bessent saying both sides are waiting to speak to the other, without providing further detail. The secretary reiterated remarks he made the previous day, predicting near-term I don't think either side believes that the current tariff levels are sustainable, so I would not be surprised if they went down in a mutual way, he told reporters Wednesday in Washington. Trump, meanwhile, said that everybody wants to be a part of what we're doing and that the U.S. and China had direct contact on trade every day. A senior administration official told NBC News on Wednesday that the U.S. is speaking with China on tariffs but at a low level that has not involved cabinet officials. The mixed messaging came a day after Trump made comments that were interpreted as a potential softening toward rather than playing hardball with China. The U.S. is going to be very nice and the final tariffs will not be anywhere near the current 145%, the president told reporters Tuesday. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt denied Trump was softening his tone, telling Fox News that there will be no unilateral reduction in tariffs against. Those comments poured cold water on U.S. stocks, which pared earlier gains Wednesday and slipped in pre-market trading Thursday. Asian markets ended Thursday mixed, while European indexes fell in early. The suggestion that tariffs could soon come down reflects the pain that these tariffs have imposed and are likely to impose on U.S. businesses and U.S. customers, if continued, said Lee Branstetter, a professor of economics and public policy at Carnegie Mellon. Talking about tariff reductions before winning any concessions from China or even starting serious talks looks like a climb down, Branstetter said. That, to me, is consistent with the view that the president did not really think through the consequences of his tariff decisions, he added. They have now become much more evident. The impasse between the U.S. and China is causing growing anxiety as the implications become clearer. This week, the International Monetary Fund slashed growth forecasts for the U.S., China and most other countries, citing the effect of The White House is also increasingly concerned about possible shortages on U.S. retail shelves as orders begin for the holiday season at the end of the year. A spokesperson for Hapag-Lloyd, a German container shipping group, said Thursday that its customers had canceled 30% of shipments to the United States from China over concerns about their trade dispute. China, which has long been preparing for a second trade war with Trump, has not rushed to offer concessions or set up meetings with U.S. trade. If we don't care about what he wants, said Wu Xinbo, a government advisor serving in China's foreign ministry and a professor at Fudan University in China. The U.S. and China may exchange some information at the working level, but that's not a negotiation. Trump just wants to send some reassuring signals to the domestic market, suggesting that the Chinese are talking to us, don't worry. But that's not the case. In the meantime, China faces its own pressures, including a slowdown in its export-driven economy that would only be made worse by tariffs. If domestic demand doesn't pick up to compensate for the drop in exports, China may need to negotiate, said Gary Ng, senior economist for Natixis in Hong Kong. It's quite hard to convince the rising Chinese middle class to once again expect a decline in their living standards. Other factors, such as the fact that Chinese President Xi Jinping doesn't have to answer to voters, by China sometime. I think the Chinese have taken the measure of Donald Trump, Brandstatter said. They've determined that he really can't afford the economic and political costs that high tariffs, even on China alone, would generate, that he would fold pretty quickly if pushed. And that seems to be exactly what's happening.